Insights is a new web application and experience which allows you to do exploratory and interactive spatial analysis with your data. Let's focus on some crimes from Philadelphia and use Insights to explore 2 years' worth of data. In Insights, your data is visualized in multiple ways, on cards. All the attributes are exposed, so you work directly with that data. Your data can be visualized as maps, charts, or tables. The legend is completely dynamic, so you can select out your data and see it being reflected on the map. You'll also notice that all the cards are linked, so everything is interactive. I can select by type of crime, by year, and you'll notice that my map is updating, so now I can also see the spatial pattern at the same time. You can bring into your data onto any page from multiple different sources. For example, you can add your data from your organizational account, from Excel, and this can have multiple sheets, and also from databases, such as SQL databases. Data can be spatial or non-spatial. Sometimes you can geocode that data, or you can just start to work with that immediately. You can work with your non-spatial data and spatial data together. You can work with it as tables or even as charts. So now we can see the total number of crimes showing the percentage change between 2014 and 2015. And we see that overall in the city of Philadelphia, crime's been decreasing. They've only seen a small increase in the number of thefts. Different visualizations allow you to see your data in different ways. And you can change your visualizations with a single click. So I can go from my map to a bubble chart, or even to a tree map, where I can clearly see which crimes are the most common. And of course, I can always change back to my map. On the back of the card, we report the summary statistics. I'm working in a browser, but I can still work with large data. I'm working with over 125,000 incidents in this data set. So let's focus in and look at the data in more detail rather than looking at the overall patterns for the city. Spatial analysis is very much a key part of Insights, and this can be done through drop zones or even by using the Action button, where all our spatial tools are exposed. So let's aggregate the number of burglaries into my police service areas. Doing a spatial aggregation is as simple as taking the information from one card and dragging it into the other. And if I did that too quickly, everything I do in Insights, everything you do in Insights, you can undo and you can redo every action. So you see, a polygon overlay really is as simple as just overlaying that polygon. All the values at each location are reported, but in context of your data. So you see it with the minimum, the maximum, the mean, to help you understand that data clearly. And as I've already shown, on the back of the card, your summary statistics are reported, this time for the aggregated data set that we've created. The data you create from your spatial analysis can be directly interrogated. So now I can look at the total number of crimes by each one of my service areas. So repeating that analysis across my 2 years of data from 2014 and 2015, and placing my cards side by side, I can now quickly pick out areas where in fact we have seen an increase in the number of burglaries. But totals don't tell the whole story, and often we need to normalize our data to take into account the number of people who've been impacted. I can do that very easily in my data table by doing a field calculation. So having calculated those rates, I can change my data type to being a rate. And now, as I drag that variable across, you'll see it's correctly visualized as a choropleth. So do my rates increase in the same way as total number of crimes? Visualizing them in a scatter plot, we can see if those two variables increase in the same way. We see that there is a relationship, but when I put on the line of best fit, it's a very weak relationship. The spatial resolution in our data can sometimes hide the patterns that we're looking for. And in Insights, it's very easy to explore your data at a different spatial resolution. So let's have a look at one particular area in detail. So how am I going to select out an area of interest? That's right, I'm going to take the polygon from that area, and I'm going to drag it over to my other card, and now you'll see it's filtered out that area. So now I can re-aggregate that data. This time I'm going to look at it by block group level and try and understand the distribution in that data set. By using the Action button and changing my tab to Find Answers, I'm now given some helpful suggestions, rather than the spatial analysis tools, as to how I can get more from that data. So I want to understand how it's distributed, and I'm going to use a histogram. So this has binned the total number of crimes I've got in each one of my areas, and by selecting on the graph, I can quickly see reflected those areas where I have high numbers of crimes or low numbers of crimes. So through this quick exploratory analysis, we've managed to gain some insight into crimes in Philadelphia. But there's just one more feature that I'd really like to share with you. Throughout my whole analysis, everything I've done has been recorded. So I can rerun that workflow. You can rerun your own workflows, and you can share those workflows with others so that they can rerun the same analysis but using their own data.